You're listening to the Study Legal English podcast, helping lawyers and law students become fluent in legal English. For more information, visit studylegalenglish.com. Hello and welcome to the Study Legal English podcast. I'm your host Louise, and today I'm talking to you about top resources to improve your legal English speaking. Why am I doing this? Well, if you listened last week, you will remember this message that I got from Stephen Horowitz. It went something like this.
Hey Louise, this is Stephen Horowitz from the U.S. Law Essentials Law and Language podcast. I've published a list of legal English resources on the Georgetown Legal English blog, but it's fairly America-centric. I was thinking you could add some sort of list on the Study Legal English website for more English-focused resources. What do you say? Okay, Louise, talk to you soon.
Something like that. So thanks, Stephen. And I'm always getting the same questions from listeners. Louise, how can I improve my legal English? What resources can I use to improve my legal English? So I'm setting out some of the best ways in a series of episodes. Last week I talked about top podcasts to improve your legal English. This week I'm talking about top resources to improve your legal English speaking. Speaking is, of course, another essential skill for lawyers. You need to be able to speak to your clients, you need to be able to speak to other lawyers. And let's face it, speaking is also one of the most difficult skills to master. It's not just about the mechanical aspects of learning vocabulary and being able to say things correctly. It's also about overcoming the fear of being judged for making mistakes, of comparing yourself to your colleagues who you think speak so much better than you. Am I right? Yeah. So in this episode, I'm going to share some of the top ways I think you can improve your speaking. A quick reminder for members, Podcast Lite and Pro members get access to downloadable transcripts for this episode. There's also the synced transcripts on the podcast player over on my website, and Pro members also get access to further resources. So visit studylegalenglish.com/episode 123 for your member benefits. And if you're not a member, but you'd like to start getting ahead with your legal English, visit studylegalenglish.com/pricing to sign up. So, let's go. Firstly, you can find yourself a language exchange partner. What does this mean? It means you find a native English speaker who wants to learn your native language and you exchange conversation together. You spend half the time practicing English and you spend half the time speaking your language so that you both get a benefit. There are a number of sites online and also apps which allow you to find a language partner, someone who wants to learn your native language and who's a native speaker of the language that you want to learn. English, I guess. These are regular people who are learning languages and where you can exchange conversation. This is a great option if you are on a budget, because generally these apps and websites are free or pretty cheap to use. And there are a few sites which have an advanced search filter which allow you to find other lawyers and connect to improve specifically your legal language. Let's look at some websites first. The first site I'll mention is called interpals.net. This site is good because you can search for people to be a pen pal, for language practice, or for meeting in person. You can do a keyword search for lawyer or law, for example, so that you can connect specifically with lawyers, and it's also free to use. The second site, similar to this, is called mylanguageexchange.com. You can create an account and then click search. You can choose to find a language exchange partner who has English as their native language. And at the bottom of the search form, you can type lawyer in the description contains option. And if you find someone you'd like to connect with, you can send a free message saying hi. But if you want to properly connect, you have to become a Gold member, as they call it, which currently ranges from $6 a month to $28 for a year. The third website I want to mention is conversationexchange.com. It's another site with an advanced search function. So once you've created a free account, click search where you describe your ideal language partner. You obviously want to click on the speaks English option and include a keyword like lawyer or law. When you find someone you'd like to contact, you can click the little envelope symbol to contact them, and that website is free. Next, let's talk about apps where you can find language partners. An app I'd recommend is called Tandem. On this app, you can find people around the world to chat with on a phone app. You can message and do video calls through the app. And there is a search function where you can type law or lawyer to find someone to practice legal English with. Another app similar to this is Lingby. On Lingby, you start a call and you can either start a call with a person or you practice in a group. As far as I can see, however, you can't search for specific words, so I'd say that this is more of an app to practice your general English with. Another way to find a language practice partner could be to join my Legal English Facebook group. It's a group full of lawyers and legal professionals who want to learn legal English. However, most of the people in the group, as I just mentioned, they're people who are learning legal English, so the native language is not English. It's a great place that you could use to find someone to practice speaking with, but as you would both be legal English learners, you might not progress so much as you would with a native language partner. Let's talk about the pros and cons of speaking with a language partner. The first pro is that, as I mentioned, it's free or cheap, so if you're on a budget, this could be a good option for you. Another pro is that you're helping each other. You'll probably build a good relationship with your language partner, so it could be a good way to network. A con is that you really get what you pay for. You will have to exchange language. That means speaking half the time in your own language so that the language partner gets a benefit of practicing too. It means you're spending your time doing something that you may not really be interested in doing, which, speaking your own language, you're not practicing legal English. And as we know, time is money. So essentially, although it's free or cheap in monetary terms, it's expensive in terms of time and potentially inefficient as a way to practice. Another con is that because you're speaking and exchanging language with a regular person, they are not trained teachers. So if you're making mistakes, they may not know, firstly, that you're making a mistake. Secondly, they might not know how to point it out to you. And they might be able to point it out, but then they won't be able to explain to you the particular grammatical rule or something like that. And so you might be left more confused than if you'd actually studied yourself. So the bottom line, the final point, is that these are good platforms to practice speaking, because sometimes simply speaking keeps you from going rusty. It keeps you from forgetting what you already know. It's always good to practice speaking. However, do not expect this option to be the same as or a substitute for a real lesson with a legal English teacher. To actually improve your speaking, to get out of bad habits of mistakes that you're always making, to learn new vocabulary, I'd really recommend getting a legal English teacher. So that brings me on to my next point. Find a teacher. I've mentioned this in so many episodes. A good teacher will help you by helping you to understand mistakes that you're always making. They'll be able to explain what the problem is and what you can do to improve. There are several platforms where you can find an online teacher and specifically search for keywords like law and lawyer or legal English. I can recommend 3: italki, Verbling and Preply. Now, I've got a few referral links, which means that if you use these particular links, you'll be able to get some kind of discount on your lesson. You'll be able to get some kind of credit. So I'm going to leave those links in the show notes. Okay, so what are some other ways to practice speaking? Well, I've just got a couple of other things that I want to mention. Firstly, follow me on Instagram. My account is @legalenglisher. You will notice that I post pictures about vocabulary and videos about legal English, including pronunciation. So here, although you can't exactly practice your speaking with someone, you can practice at home by trying to copy the things that I say. And I mentioned there that you can talk to yourself at home, you can practice at home. I know that might sound a little strange to you, but talking to yourself is a great way to practice. You just have to do it at the right time and in the right place. So probably in your house, at home, when you're with your family, with a person that loves you, that doesn't mind you talking to yourself, or, not in the office, anywhere but there. The second option is for pro members of my site. So for a lot of episodes, I think it's episode 1 until episode 94, more or less, the pro members get access to a speak unit, which allows you to listen to a phrase and then practice saying it, and in some instances, record yourself and make a comparison. This is really aimed at practicing your pronunciation, so it's a really good way to improve your pronunciation, which is an important part of speaking. And we know that pronunciation in English is actually quite difficult. We've got many words which are written in just completely nonsensical way, I can say. Okay, now the last thing I want to mention about speaking is this. I said it at the beginning. Sometimes people are not good at speaking because they have got a lot of fear. They are perfectionists and they're not very confident. They want to get everything right and they're worried about making mistakes. If this is you, if this sounds a bit familiar, if you've got a voice in your head when you're about to speak English and the voice is like, don't make a mistake, and then it stops you, you get blocked, you can't speak, I actually recommend a YouTube channel called The School of Life. This is not a channel about learning language. It's actually a channel about philosophy, psychology, and relationships. There are 2 videos I'd recommend you check out. One of them is called How Perfectionism Makes Us Ill. In fact, there are many videos on the problems of perfectionism. You can just go to the School of Life's YouTube channel and type in perfectionism. You will find a whole range of videos on that topic. The other video I recommend watching is called The History of Ideas Wabi Sabi. Wabi Sabi, in a nutshell, is the Japanese philosophy of finding beauty in imperfection. I know there are some Japanese listeners to the show, so I'm sorry. I know I've reduced that concept to a really tiny one sentence. I'm sorry, I'm not really doing it justice. Anyway, we can apply this philosophy to our language learning and be a little kinder to ourselves, to recognize that to make mistakes is natural. It's a natural part of language learning. So I recommend check out that video. Great. So that's the end of this episode. I hope you found it useful. I hope you learned something new. Make sure you join me next week, where I'm going to be sharing top course books for learning legal English. That's a topic I get asked so often about. People are always asking me, Louise, what book can I get to study legal English? Well, you're going to find out next week. Tune in. All the links I mentioned are in the show notes and also on my website over at studylegalenglish.com/episode 123. Of course, if you're a member there over at studylegalenglish.com/episode 123, you will find all your membership benefits. And if you're thinking of becoming a member, go to studylegalenglish.com/pricing to sign up. Don't forget to follow me on social media. Find me on Instagram at Legal Englisher or search Facebook for the Study Legal English group. If social media is not your thing, sign up to my newsletter. Just head to studylegalenglish.com/news to sign up, and you'll also get a couple of free gifts if you sign up over on that link. So thanks for listening and see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Study Legal English podcast. If you really want to get ahead, why not become a member and gain access to many learning resources? Visit studylegalenglish.com/pricing.